See, I worked out a deal with them. Ready? Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Russell County Board of Supervisors, January the 6th, 2025, and at 6 p.m. I'd like to first call of order and roll call. Andrew Hensley.
Here.
Luann Wallace.
Here.
Tara Dye.
Here.
David Eaton.
Here.
Rebecca Dye.
Here.
Nate Kaiser.
Here.
And Steve Breeding.
Here.
Sir, you have a quorum.
Okay, if you, everybody stand for the invocation and also for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Father God, Lord, we love you, we thank you, and we praise you today, Father. Father, forgive us for where we fail you each and every day. And Lord, we thank you for allowing us to be a part of our local government. Father, as we enter this new year, Lord, we ask that you help us. You help us help us with giving you all the glory, Father. Lord, forgive us, be with us, lead us, guide us, and direct us in everything that we do. For it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Asked that we have an executive session at the end of the meeting. So need somebody to make did you make the motion?
Steve.
Need a motion to approve the agenda, but we need to add an executive session at the end of the agenda per the request of the legal counsel.
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion-
Second.
Motion and a second discussion. If not,
I'm going to, Steve, for discussion on the agenda, I will abstain because I did not have 4, 5, 7, 10 in my packet.
Okay.
There's nothing included for me to kind of brief and look at.
Okay.
So that's all.
all right. Okay. All in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I'll just abstain.
Okay, and have one abstention. Okay. All right, Mr. Lester, it's yours.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. Of course, this is the reorganizational meeting for the Russell County Board of Supervisors. The first up on the reorganizational meeting, this occurs every January of every year, is of course the election of the chairman. I'd like to go ahead and open the floor for nominations for the Russell County Board of Supervisors chairman.
Lester, I'd like to nominate David Eaton for chairman.
Second.
Okay, hang on a second.
Mr. Lester, I move that all nominations cease and David Eaton be elected by acclamation.
Sir, I have a motion for a motion for the nominations to be closed with David Eaton. I need a motion.
She made a motion.
I
need a second. I'll second
I need approve. Sorry about that. Who threw me off on that one? Okay.
I'll second.
Yes, you second. Okay, so it's the nominations have been moved for the Russell County, and it is closed. We'll call for the vote and proceed in reverse order with a show of hands. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading it. Is there a motion? Is everybody vote with a show of hands? I still have to have a show of hands. Right, Attorney? Yes. Yes. A show of hands, 7-0. Okay, congratulations. David Eaton is the Russell County Board of Supervisors. Yes. Chairman, the agenda is yours. Now the election of the vice chair.
All right. I want to open it up right now for the election of the vice chair.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to nominate Tara Dye. I'll second that.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to nominate Steve Breeding.
Okay, in reverse order, we'll take Steve first. Is there any more nominations? Seeing none. Okay, the election of the vice chair for Steve Breeding. Raise your hand. Okay, and for Tara Dye. Okay, it's 4-3. Steve Breeding. Okay, moving on now. Do I need to go on any further with that?
Yeah. With the vice chair, no.
Okay,
Now with the, continue to number 3.
all right. Now we'll move on as clerk of the board and deputy clerk.
So I'll nominate Lonzo Lester for clerk of the board.
Second.
Okay, any other? All in favor of Lonzo Lester, clerk of the board?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, for deputy clerk,
I'll nominate Rhonda.
okay, thank you.
Second.
Nomination and a second. Do we have any others? Okay, all in favor of Rhonda?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, congratulations, Rhonda. Okay, now we want to go into the adoption of the Robert Rules of Order. We need a motion to accept those.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, ma'am. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now we have the adoption of the Russell County bylaws. Do I have a motion?
Motion to adopt our existing bylaws.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. Okay, number 6 here, we have the CY 2025 Board of Supervisors regular meeting schedule.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we have those on the first Monday of each month at 6 p.m.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to have the board meetings on first Monday of each month. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, now, the Board of Supervisors budget meeting schedule. County Administrator, Mr. Lester, we need to get that as far as the Board of Supervisors budget meeting schedule, but I would like to, make a recommendation here before we move on any further. The Board of Supervisors is going to go through some critical situations here in the next little bit with our assessment and some other issues that we have, and I don't feel like that responsibility needs to lay on just a couple of people. My recommendation is that that we have at least 3 reconvene meetings and work that out on our schedule. And the full board, I believe, as chair, needs to meet in regards to these, and we need to have discussions and meeting with all stakeholders. If that requires a motion,
If it does, I'll make that motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
I'd like to make a substitute motion on that we have one budget meeting a month, starting in February. That would be 5 total through June. I'm not sure 3 will get us where we need to be with the reassessment.
Well, I've talked to Andrew about this, and I do appreciate that, Andrew. I just wanted to throw that out, but 5 would be tickle me to death. But I think all the stakeholders involved and all the boards and, from the treasurer, the commissioner of revenue, the sheriff's office, and everybody you know, from the Department of Social Service on, needs to meet with our full board, and we need to have these discussions with them. You know, from garbage to everything else that we're dealing with the increased cost of the regional jail. We didn't create the issues, but I want the general public to know that we are willing to take care of our citizens.
Well, Mr. Chair, if I may, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we have 7 in front of us, seven meetings already in front of us. So, and 2 or 3 of those, best I can tell, I haven't looked on my phone for my calendar, but 2 or 3 of those are already on our board meeting nights anyway, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so will that satisfy, your subsidiary motion, Andrew?
As long as we can discuss the budget from here on out, essentially, until we vote on it, I'll be happy.
Well, that's the reason I kind of set 3 in place, Ms. Wallace.
So those are already on there, is that
because they
not
were
correct,
already-
Mr. Lester?
Yeah,
They were already included.
okay, right now on the current schedule, I've got the letters that are out that I can speed up to the departments, which, you know, most of the county departments are very conservative and they're just trying to, we estimate the personnel and stuff like that and contracts, so they're just looking at what their new year budget is. Now, on the February the 7th, the budgets are coming in until the 14th. I can compile those quickly. So I can start the workshops. You got 3 right now. One is in on March the 25th, April the 1st, and April the 8th. Now I can back in the ones that we have scheduled for the 28th and the 14th as projections. I can work into workshops and redo the schedule. How's that? That will give you 5. So it'll give you 1 in February. It'll give you 2 in February, 2 in March, and 2 in April. So that's 6.
Mr. Hensley, would that be Ms. Wallace?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's 5.
You good with that? I mean, that's up to the board's discretion. So
So we have
I
a
can-
motion and a second, and then we have the alternate motion, Andrew's motion, to include in that motion.
If you don't have a second to Andrew's motion, I'll make a motion.
You don't have a second yet.
I'll withdraw it.
So, okay, we do, thank you, Andrew. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Okay.
Any opposed?
So I'll make those changes to the schedule to become workshops. Because yes, we're going to need it.
Anybody else have any questions in regards to that? As far as the budget?
No, we've already voted on it, so we're still not in, I guess we're in discussion now, but on the 6th month of June, we might need another, place in there. So this is written in stone, not hardly. Is that what you're saying? So
Yeah.
we can move around a little bit?
We
Okay.
always have in June because
This is gonna be a
Yeah.
the
it's
reason
gonna be tough.
is, as an FYI to the board, is remembering, we have to wait on the state. Sometimes they drag their feet and we're down to the last 2 days before the end of the fiscal year and they
Bottom
finally
line
send
is,
the
it
numbers.
has to be approved by the end of June.
It's got
So
last
we've got the
day
month
of
of June.
June is the legal approval.
One thing I'd like to do is make sure that we get out all of, as much additional information that we can get in the hands of all the board members, for them to review for us to meet. If you have any requests, let Lonzo know, and we'll make sure that everybody has the adequate information.
Yeah, well, but the thing that everybody needs to understand here is, once it gets to June, it's already, the tax tickets are done, it's almost a done deal, we're just waiting on finalization from the state. So we really need to be in the front of this thing.
Yeah,
So
that-
the
that's a good
the
question.
first couple of months is crucial here.
So when do we have to have the tax rate set? When's,
Well, the
when
tax
is the
tickets go
deadline?
out May the 25th.
May 25th.
So that's why I said if you back up 2 in February, 2 in March, and 2 in April, you're ahead of it. That's 6 budget meetings by the time you have to set that tax rate.
But as long as we don't get lost in the weeds, because this is a critical situation. I mean, we're gonna have to really, we don't want to be like these other counties and get behind the 8 ball on this issue. I'd like to have it addressed and let the public review and know what's going on, prior to this. But
And I'll advertise each one of these workshops out as a full board meeting, so that the general public will have an opportunity to discuss them.
well, I mean, if any of the surrounding, if any of the constitutional officers or any of the departments have a wish list, prior, I mean, nobody knows what's gonna happen in the future, nobody. But, if you don't show up to these meetings and don't bring the wish list later on, we're gonna have to get this down to where the rubber meets the road. We can't have wild expectations that all this is gonna take place and we're gonna get this money.
You're gonna have your budget request in by the 14th of February, is that what you said?
Yeah, well, the department requests are due back to me by February the 7th. And I'll work diligently over that weekend to compile. I can, because like I said, the departments don't, I already compile the payroll. I compile the contracts, what we call mandatory expenditures like CSA and stuff like that. Everything is already set, pre-done, and we'll figure those out. So I can do a turnaround to where you can do a workshop by the 28th. That's your first workshop. So that gives you a workshop in February, March, April, and April. So, and if you want to, you can call a special.
Well, I mean, if any of the board members see the need
If
to
you're,
do
if you're
that,
moving, we can move as fast as y'all move. Yes,
we
absolutely.
just need to stay ahead of it. I'm like Miss Wallace, we just really need to be really proactive on this issue.
But by the end of February, you should have a pretty decent idea about what the requests are gonna be.
Yes, but there's another component of this. Now, you can set the budget. Now, in the meantime, in the background, the reassessment is going to be going on. The reassessment is a two-phase process, which I was going to go into later, which will help. The first 4 to 5 weeks will be the phase one. The general public citizens will be able to come before the assessors over that 5-week period to, talk to them about any reductions or their appraisals or comps, or then it will go to the equalization board if they appeal it. Now, that equalization board by code can go on for 12 months. We're not going to turn away anyone or push anybody under it. We're going to wire this thing out until everybody, has an opportunity to be before either the assessment board or before the equalization board. So, but that will be going on in the background as y'all are setting the budget. But you got to know what the budget, how this reassessment's coming out, because if you have 200 people that come in and have variances or they have they don't agree with the assessment, that's not going to affect what y'all are setting as far as that tax rate for the May 25th tax tickets. That's not enough of a variance of an 8.2 billion real estate assessment. That's what every parcel, all 22 parcels in the county's worth. It's not going to matter if John or Mary has not completed their assessment, because that will continue until resolution.
So you're saying the May rate can be set separate of the December rate?
When you set the rate, you set the rate for a calendar year. It's a calendar year, set not a fiscal year. So you'll set it you can set it, but the board can change. That's up to the discretion of the board, but you have to have the public hearing again.
Anybody else?
Right, Attorney? Yep, okay.
All right. Moving on to new business. Approval of the minutes, or consider approval of the minutes of the following meeting of the Russell County Board of Supervisors.
Make a motion to approve the minute.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none. The unapproved minutes of December 9th, 2024. Just approved, okay, thank you. Approval of expenditures, consider approval of expenditures presented for payment.
Motion to approve the expenditures, sir.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, ma'am. All in favor? Any opposed? We'll pay the bills. Okay, 2025 authorized payments, authorization of the list of operational routine monthly payments for delegated authorization.
I'll make that motion. Just give them authorization to pay their regular normal bills.
Ma'am,
Electric bill.
if you don't care, can you talk into my, and I'll tell you why, cause Caleb told me earlier on
Okay.
that they can't pick it up when they're watching, I guess, so I appreciate that.
Okay, I'll make that motion that we, give them the authorization to pay our operational bills, routine bills every month.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Thank you all. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And now we're going down to committee appointments for board consideration. We got the Budget Finance Committee. This goes back to, I guess, to the same, the full board. So, I think, you know, I feel like this is a critical opportunity for me to set the full board in place, on the Budget Finance Committee. If that's, anybody have any opposition to me making that recommendation? None? Okay, I'm appointing everybody. Thank you. The Cumberland Plateau Economic Development,
Okay, that was my appointment and I asked you to table it, so I would like to nominate Doug Hubbard, who does own his own business, and he would take the place of Tony Lambert, who Tony informed me that he didn't have time. So I'd like to nominate Doug Hubbard.
all right, we have a nomination. Any other nominations? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of Doug Hubbard? Any opposed? Okay, welcome on, Doug. And the Upper Tennessee River Roundtable.
Mr. Chair, it was tabled from last month, and we agreed that we would bring it back up. Maddie Gordon has requested removal, or she has sent her resignation into that board a couple of months ago. She has time constraints, and it's not in our packet, but I do believe Jared Ring has applied for that position.
It is in y'all's individual packet.
Oh, I don't have that, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it's one on the
Doesn't
internet.
matter. It's okay.
That'd be okay.
They've seen it.
Okay.
Okay, so that's your nomination, ma'am?
Yes, that's my nomination for Upper Tennessee River Roundtable.
Okay,
Jared Ring.
do we have any other nominations?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, welcome. All right, I don't have the list of citizens' comment. I think Caleb will get that for me. Thank you, Caleb. Okay, first one on the list is Jared Ring. Welcome again, Jared.
Don't tell us you're gonna resign.
Well, Happy New Year, y'all, and thank you for the committee appointment. I'm here to talk about the alcohol prohibition again. I was taking a peek through those ordinances, and I started to notice, I was under the impression when I brought it up initially that there were two separate ordinances, one for beer and wine and one for the sale of mixed drinks. And it turns out that's not the case. We only have an ordinance in place against beer and wine that was last amended in '73, I believe. And I started doing my homework on that, contacted the state ABC board to make sure we had no prohibition against the sale of mixed drinks on Sundays. And I know we voted to have a referendum during the next one, election that is, about the wine and beer ordinance. But in the meantime, I feel like we should clarify to some of the restaurants affected, mostly just the Mexican place in Castlewood, that we don't have a prohibition against mixed drinks, because that stops them from selling margaritas on Sunday, which as a Mexican restaurant, you can't sell margaritas. That kind of sucks. And it's also a little bit of a conflicting message too, having an ordinance against wine and beer, but you could theoretically have Everclear with 2 drops of lemon in it on Sundays. Like a little bit of a dichotomy there, I guess. Wrong word. But I was hoping the board might clarify to the affected businesses that they can sell their mixed drinks on Sundays, but wine and beer are out, as odd as that sounds. And I also wanted to express a little bit of concern about the fish farm project. That's quite a bit of money to drop on them, and I've got some serious concerns about the long-term viability of that project. And I just hope that we have some sort of guarantee that that project will come to fruition. Contrast it with the Tate requests. You know, I go by Tate every day, and that place is slam full of trucks. People in Russell County, they've done everything right, and the fish farm's been going for forever now. And I'd just like to see some sort of guarantee that our money's not just going down the toilet there. But that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. And if, Lonzo, if you and our attorney can look into that, what Jared's request is, and if there's a formal way to make that public, I guess that's what Jared's asking. Just to clarify.
I think you're right. There is no ordinance on mixed drinks, but I think the old state ordinance, the old state regulations prohibited mixed drinks. You had to have a license to do it. But apparently it changed sometime here just recently, which I was totally unaware of. It was the only reason I brought that up. So, you know, it's perfectly legal to sell mixed drinks in the state of Virginia.
Okay, next on the list, RD.
I'll just wait after the meeting, thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you, RD. And next is Charles King Jr.
I'm going to speak to the fish farm again here. Been talking to my dad about it. I don't know if y'all knew the property that it is on was originally acquired by the SWCC Foundation. Foundation was started by Dad, kind of a separate thing from the college, and it's got over 20 million in their endowment, which is the largest in the system. Part of that was, at the time, athletics wasn't anything that community colleges paid for, and he raised the money to build the gym. And then later on, he was able to acquire the 200 acres where the fish farm is, and got it pretty cheap. And his vision is he would have had housing there with a sidewalk that would have went to the college. It would enable students to go from their housing and walk over to college instead of what we've got now. Has anybody been through there in the mornings on 19 and see what's going on? Because there's an accident waiting to happen up there. We got students trying to cross 19. We got cars trying to pull in and out from the apartments there. I almost had one with a vehicle the other day. I go that way to work every morning. I'm through there about 7:45. And it's created a pretty dangerous situation. And now this fish farm thing started in 2012. Now we're seeing it's going to be 2028 before we're going to see anything. And the county is slated here, I guess, to put up $150,000 against $850,000 for a turn lane. And I guess the primary reason it's being needed now is so they can haul giant weights in there to put on the ground and leave for a period of time to compress the ground because something's wrong with the soil. And stop and think about what I just said. I mean, to me, I'm like, well, I can't make any sense out of it. I'm sorry. To this day, I really don't know what's fueling this thing. The only thing I could see, and RD and I spoke about it today is the Israeli coalition. Hey, I'm all for them, but what kind of bang for our buck are we getting down here with this money? If this money's coming out of the coal severance road money, I'm sure there's other places, other roads this money could be spent on, other problems, isn't there? So, talked to Dad about it again today, and he's just befuddled about the whole thing. And the other part of it's going to be this. I didn't realize until doing some reading here and talking to Artie and Dad that really Russell County, this thing's kind of left in our lap, isn't it? Because 2/3 of this project's in Russell County. I originally thought it was over in Tazewell County. Most of it is not. But for a period of time here, it seems like Tazewell County's been kind of running this. And we've got a big hole there. Some of y'all, somebody's going to have to figure out what we're going to do, aren't we? With this crater that's left up there. And it's not a job that I'd want. And it's not something I'd want to have on me as a board member. But hey, it's up to y'all whether you want to spend any more money on it or not. When people go start talking 2028, and I'm reading that the investors are out of Singapore. Well, Singapore is controlled by China now, isn't it? Well, TikTok's owned by China. We don't want TikTok. Why? Does it make any sense what I'm saying? If we're against the Chinese, then why are we willing to let them invest money in a property that's here? It's kind of confusing to me. So anyway, I hope something good comes out of it. I hope somebody comes up with an idea if this thing falls through.
Mr. King, a little bit over your time limit, but
I'm okay.
hey, we appreciate you.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Okay, that's the last on the list, but I am going to say, is anybody in here have any comments or anything that they want to bring before the board? Randy?
I'm happy to see our sheriff's department here. I think we went to that seminar, I told Bill that earlier. And we went for a long time with no representation here of a gun, except for the ones we had. And somebody not happy because we carry our guns, but I won't talk about her right now because she's not here. But last time I was here, y'all probably remember I got asked to leave for something I didn't do. I was not the one. I was talking. I admit I was talking, but you know, during the trash dump, there was a lot of talking going on. Nobody else got asked to leave, but I did, and I left. But the thing is, the reason I was talking is when you have public comment already, we can't comment on anything. If we don't know what's happening, how can we comment on it? I didn't know what Doug was going to say. How can I comment on what he was going to say? If I went up ahead of him, you know, I had some concerns about what was going on. I got concerns about what goes on in our town and county. And that C-Corps was one of them. I mean, y'all probably don't know because some of the town police and some of the county police does not know that they lost one for 2 days. The lady got on the bus, rode it up to the library, got off, and disappeared for 2 days. And they didn't have to inform the law of that? Ain't that an escaped prisoner? I mean, I don't know. Something just ain't right there. So, I think we need, it used to be, if I'm not mistaken, Alonzo, did we not have public comment later on? After a lot of stuff went on and then it got moved to the first?
Many years ago.
Well, I ain't been in here before 3 or 4 years, so it ain't been that many years ago. Not as long as that fish farm don't sound like anyway. But we can't comment on anything. So I guess I'll get thrown out again because I'll talk about something when I don't like it, if I don't have a chance to comment on it. But I just think we need to move public comment to where we can have a say on what's going on. I mean, we elect y'all to represent us. If I'm not mistaken, that's the way it works. We the people elect the board to represent us. We don't get a say in what's represented by us if we don't have time to talk about it.
And I know there wasn't gonna be a say, well, you know, y'all wanna go back up there and say anything? That wasn't gonna happen. Cause some minds were already made up on that place before it got started. But they have lost one. That can be verified. They have lost one. I heard there was a sex offender up there, but I don't know for sure. A letter got wrote and it disappeared. That's a fact. That comes from up here in the state. I got some good contacts on this, and it ain't nothing against Doug Breeden. It's against things like that. Rassnick, Doug Rassnick. I don't know why I always call him Breeden. Other than that, like I said, I mean Rassnick, I always call him the wrong thing. I don't even know the man.
Which one?
I don't know either one of them, so I can't talk bad about either one of them. But I just seen a lot and know a lot of stuff's going on. But like I said, that was my big thing, was we need to be able to comment. Other than calling up the next day and chewing on somebody's ear.
Thank you, Randy.
All right.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, I'll close the citizens' comment period. And it looks like constitutional officer reports and requests. You got anything, Bill? Thanks for coming, you guys. We appreciate it. Okay, seeing none in that, we'll go on to the county attorney reports and requests.
Mr. Chair, there it is. My only items are going to be coming up in executive session following the end of the business of the meeting, relative to the solar siding agreement and potential litigation.
Okay, sir. Now, thank you. We'll wait on Will's response to those issues at the end of the meeting. Okay, county administrator reports and requests. I'll turn it over to you, Lonzo.
All right. Thank you, Chairman. First on the county administrator reports and requests is, of course, these are the reporting section as FYI to the board members and to the general public. First on the list is the VACO preliminary legislative program. This is the program within the Board of Supervisors packets that the legislators will be taking up for consideration in the state of Virginia in here this month, which take a look at your packet, and of course that leads into the 2025 Southwest Virginia legislative reception that the board members are going to be attending on 1/29/25 in Richmond. That's when, as each and every year, the Board of Supervisors will be going up and meeting with legislators, not just the local ones, but, you know, the governor's staff and the major state agencies, and talk about not only what's going on within the county, but what's going on with economic development, what we can do, funders, and this is when they can set it and put it within the legislation to be able to get it by the 1st of July. The appropriations or the economic development projects. It's a fast and furious 4 days, as everyone has done a tour before. It's a lot of walking and a lot of talking. And again, it's a 4 days of nothing but legislative and negotiation. So, and these guys are really good at it. Next on the county administrator reports is, of course, in conjunction with the VACO legislative program and the reception, and is the governor's biennium budget amendments that's in the board package to take a look at. That's what the governor is going to be approaching as his initiatives, so that how that ties in with the county initiatives and what we're looking at from here, our perspective. Next on the reports is, of course, it's that time of the year again, this 2025 state and local economic interest and financial disclosure statements and the 4-year training for all the board members. Every one of them looks forward to this every year. So, and that not only applies to the Board of Supervisors, but that applies to the IDAs and the PSAs. Anyone that falls under that umbrella has to have these put in by the 1st of February.
Mr. Lester, I
Yes,
hate to
ma'am.
interrupt you, but did that ever get put online for the county to do?
It is online, ma'am, and I'm going to send you the link.
Thank you, because I
I'll be
just
sending
filled
it
out
to
my
all the boards.
state,
Yes.
and we've been doing it by paper, and that is so antiquated. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Very good, thank you.
And the training will be online too. Finally, the state's catching it. Again, number 5, this falls back into previous conversations that we had with the budget and the reassessments. This is a report just for the county's reassessment equalization board appointments. This is part of we have finished the assessment. It has been completed. I got word from the assessor's office today, they're going to print, so they may be ahead of will be ahead of schedule. Rather than next week, they'll be going out this weekend. So, but before the board and their decision by the Code of Virginia, the Equalization Board will be able to take up appeals from the assessors, and they'll be able to decide. That board consists of 3 or more members. Now, for right now, before the board appointments, we have one confirmed obligation that I will ask for from a John Bieber that sits on the IDA. Now, he is well qualified, and I would like to get a motion to appoint him as the Equalization Board. Yes.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion. What about
Second.
a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And as this comes out, what we have to do as far as the Equalization Board, like I said in the previous conversations, just to remind everyone, under Code of Virginia, this Equalization Board has authority to move for 12 months. So, like I said, between the assessors and equalization, everyone will be able to present their case or look at their property in any manner that they need to over the next 12 months. But we will proceed on with the budget, and we will proceed on with the new tax rates.
So I know that it's already voted on, but so Mr. Bieber is our first appointment.
Yes, ma'am.
And how close are we to 2 more?
I've
filling
got
2 more
4
seats?
strong maybes right now, and those will be presented to the board. Nobody, you would not, nobody wants to, but one.
All of mine are no's.
Not to be facetious, but the Russell County, citizens, if you're sitting there that says the property, just like everybody here owns property, we want someone that's qualified. They got to be, realtors, appraisers, they got to know a business perspective. They got to be able to evaluate what they're pursuing to be able to give, a good decision. So that whole board is very important to the Board of Supervisors to make sure that Russell County citizens are fair. I mean, it's not going to make a difference to us if you have a deck on there that's 3,000 versus 5 on a material of $8.2 billion worth, but do present your cases if you do. So, and it is very important to each and individual Russell County taxpayer for real estate. We are not handling this like Washington County did. We was approached by them, and I'll get into that, and they said they wished they'd done it like Russell County. We didn't throw it out before the holidays. We didn't push it out. I had them go back and reevaluate. We have 22,426 parcels, give or take. I had them go back over the last 30 days and reevaluate 10% just to make sure that when we evaluate these, that we're fair in what we're doing. So that was 10% recalculated.
I don't want to convolute the whole thing and cause us to get off track, but I did read in the state covenants or whatever that it does not say in there, unless I've missed it, so I'll lean on our county attorney, that for our equalization board that we do not require them to be a landowner. Is that required? I didn't see that. Help me with that.
Mr. Chair, and to Supervisor Wallace, I'd have to double check on the landowner provision, but I doubt that would be a qualification. That's a little antiquated. Be a landowner.
Okay, but my thinking was, and I understand that we're talking about people's dollars and their based on their property, and I just hope that everybody would be fair, and that's what we're talking about is equalization, but it does not say that you have to be a property owner, and I just find that a little strange for someone to assess my property that's never paid property taxes. That's just, I find that strange.
I'm happy to double check and can get you guys some feedback via email.
It does, It's not in there, but I'm just bringing that up, because I didn't like it, but that's okay.
That's a good point. It is. Okay, County Administrator?
Yes. Next on the county administrator request is, or reports, is Governor Youngkin's visit. He, of course, now Chairman Eaton and myself had a meeting with the governor's office in Washington County on December the 20th, 2024. A follow-up on, of course, the FEMA projects and, of course, Russell County Sheriff's Department, their STAR program. That was talked about in Washington County, and we went over the preparedness that Russell County had during this time frame and what we were implementing in post storm implementation, like we're implementing 14 different warming shelters and shelters for warming shelters in the county with generators. We went into all these things that we were implementing. The Sheriff Department, we tried to talk for that, didn't mean to speak for Bill, but they did a great job during this time. And of course, everybody knows we just went through a snowstorm, and me and Bill's been in my office for the last 3 days. So I think now that with every storm, this is going to be the protocols from the state of Virginia EOC, right, Jared? These things are going to be handled, whether it's a hurricane, a tornado, a snowstorm, or a flood. It's going to go inactive immediately. Pre-planning, pre-done, and we're going to attack it at the first and for preparedness. So that's going to be the approach on each and every one from here on out. But we did meet with them. Mr. Eaton, you want to speak on it?
Well, kudos goes out to our sheriff's office and all of our first responders, our emergency management team. One thing that the governor, I'm telling you, he has been so proactive. The only governor I can remember in my lifetime, just has spent so much time in Southwest Virginia. Not only for the good things that are taking place and for the new industries and jobs that we're being able to obtain, but also for, like you said, the national disasters. And his urgency is to address everything. We talked about a lot of clear cutting that blocks up and damages the bridges and the waterways and the ditches and stuff like that, and that causes a lot of issues. So we did talk about that, and he wanted to make sure to let everybody know in Russell County that, and the other counties and surrounding counties, that he will do whatever he can to make sure that our jobs are easier. And he did want us to let all the first responders and our sheriff's department know how much he appreciated that activity that went on during that natural disaster. So thanks go out to everybody in that way. Okay, Alonzo.
Mr. Chair, and I have an answer now. If you'll give me an opportunity to respond to
Yes.
Supervisor Wallace's comment.
Yes.
The only requirement in the code for the Reassessment Equalization Board is that they be a taxpayer. It does not require that they be a landowner, but they're a taxpayer, so that, I guess, presumably they own land and they're paying real property tax on it.
As opposed to personal property or whatever.
Correct.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It
Thank you.
does, thank you.
Thanks for giving me a minute. Appreciate it.
Next on the county administrator reports is the Russell County 2024 annual in review of the Board of Supervisors report. That's in the board packet that I have laid on y'all's desk. This is the rough draft of everything that the county has done during the 2024. We are fine tuning that, and we should be able to release that the first of next week. We're pulling the final numbers together, and we got some good numbers in there. So we got more work to do though. So take a look at that. If you have any suggestions, like I said, we're going to be going out with it at the first of next week. Next on county administrator reports is the Russell County road reporting systems that was in the package. Take a look at those. Of course, number 9 is the VDOT monthly report. As they have said, the the Lebanon residency does not have any requests for the board action for this month. Take a look over the maintenance activities, snow removal, of course, and hurricane cleanup, and the routes that are under consideration for pavement. Next on the reports is I put this on there for the Honaker and Castlewood canneries at this time of the year. They're doing meat, so we extended the days out open till the middle of January to the 15th of January to be able to give everybody an opportunity, especially with a hurricane occurring and the snowstorms occurring. We extended the dates out for everybody to be able to utilize the canneries if needed. So January the 15th, go ahead and make your schedules. Now into the county administrator request. The first one is number 11, is the IDA Commonwealth Development Opportunity Performance Agreement and Grant for the Siemens equipment for $270,000. So this is additional grant that we've got for the Siemens. I need approval for the allocation of $270,000 grant.
Mine has Bush Building, Tate
Tate.
Corporate, so remove that.
Yeah, the corrected one that we sent out, it did say Tate, it says Siemens.
No
Yep.
big deal. Take that
I'll
out.
make a motion, we approve this.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Discussion?
Discussion. Sorry.
All right. So, the Commonwealth Opportunity Fund is what I used to call the Governor's Fund. Is that
Still is.
correct?
Still is.
All right. And on the authority down here that it's talking about is the IDA. So we are just the pass-through
That is correct. We're just taking, yes.
for
the pass-through.
$270,000.
That is correct.
Now, when they fulfill their obligation of the amount of employees, which is to take place when was that? 2027? Is that my number I've
2027,
got written down
75
here in
new
red?
jobs.
Okay. So when they do that, that 270 falls, or do they get it they don't get it in the front end of this thing, do they?
Mr. Chair, and Supervisor Wallace, believe all the Commonwealth Opportunity Fund grants are now post-performance, so they've got to create the jobs before they can get the grants. Significant change in the law happened around Governor McAuliffe's administration when we got hosed on a Chinese company that took a bunch of money and then didn't create the first job
That's
in
good.
Central Virginia. So
Thank you.
they're all post-performance now. That's standard for most of the grant programs in the
Standard
state.
procedure for everything? Okay.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right.
Thank you.
And just to add on to that, not to complicate it, not only employees do they have to satisfy it, it also says as the leasing, acquisition, construction, equipment, improvement, and operation of facilities would entail a capital expenditure by or on behalf of the company of approximately $8,213,650, of which approximately $750 will be invested in the machine and tools, and approximately $150 will be invested in furniture, fixtures, and business and personal property, and approximately $5,946,000 will be invested in the lease of facilities, and approximately $1,402,650 will be invested in the construction, expansion, and fit up of the buildings and facilities. Whereas the acquisition, construction, and equipment of the operations of the facility will further entail the creation and maintenance of 75 new jobs at the facility.
Is this in both of these buildings or just a total that they have? The 75 new jobs?
That'd be between the two.
Between the two,
That's what I was reading. Thank you.
yes.
Any other discussion?
good, thank you,
You
Mr.
good?
Chair.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Wallace. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you all.
Next on the county administrator request is in the packet is the CSA, the supplemental allocation request from the Department of Social Services. This is for FY25 for $190,631.80. This is above the annual appropriation, and I put in your packet, private packet, why we have got this. This is due to the foster kids and why we had to incur this, but this is a mandatory expenditure. I need approval for $190,631.80.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second by Ms. Tara. Discussion?
So on my paper, we've gone from what was thought was in the bank to what was not in the bank. Is that correct? I know that's
What?
a bad way to explain it. I need help. I need help with this.
Okay.
I'll be very honest. This is
I'll
a
explain.
complicated looking thing.
Okay, this is her allocation form that she has to do. She does reports monthly. The CPMT is the Community Policy Management Team, which pulls together all services. This was generated by the General Assembly. It's your health department, your mental health boards, your local government, DSS, your juvenile court system, so that they weren't double dipping and double paying expenses. Say, for an example, you have a child that's here now. They are removed from the home, they're removed from Russell County Schools, and they go to the Virginia Beach area. Well, you're not going to pay Russell County Schools and the Virginia Beach area schools to have the child receiving services. Or if the child goes to a facility, they have to be provided academics. They have to have a teacher if they're in the 3rd grade, 5th grade, 11th grade. So it will pay, but they're not going to pay Russell County because the child is not here. And with the health department is all these children basically will be receiving Medicaid if they qualify. And they're not going to pay Russell County the money when the child is in another facility. So that's why the committee was formed. And this is from all the expenses that DSS has. Well, DSS is state and federally funded and 15% locally funded. So when you have to remove a child or a child receives extra services, we have to allocate the money and make sure it is paid for. We can't say, no, we're not paying this, because this is our child, this is our kid from Russell County, and they're receiving services through the DSS, through foster care. And they don't let them sit and hold a lot of money in the bank. And as it's needed, and this is a supplement that is being asked, and Lonzo does have the money, we're not coming back to say, we're getting another set. The money is there, it is allocated, and that's what she has asked for. And she first thought we would need $290,000, but she and Lonzo sat down and found out that we weren't in bad shape as we thought. So it's just, and listen to this, how I'm saying, it's just $190,000. Sorry, folks, I know. But it is $190,631.80 is what is needed to help carry her through the first quarter here of the fiscal year 2025.
So it's the difference of the 551 and the 254. That's the difference.
Yes.
Well, your name's on this, so
Yes.
you explained it well. Thank you.
I hope I did explain it, but it is for what DSS has spent and said we need to cover our children. And this committee, the CPMT committee, is all of these state agencies that are pulled together, and we listen to her monthly, say how many children we serve, where they are, because it has to be. But it is secure because we're talking about juveniles. They're under 18. We can't discuss, we're never given names or anything like that, but we are discussed what needs they have to have. They go to the doctor, they have to have a birth certificate made, they have academics, they have to have clothes. This is everything covered for the foster care children.
So when we get to the end of the road here down in June, is this going to take us all the way?
She hopes it will.
Yeah, we've had multiple discussions, yes.
And see, what happens sometimes,
What's the unless?
Yeah.
More children,
One
more
or
children,
two,
more children.
one or
And-
two kids.
and what happens is, one child can really bounce that up. What happens, are they just in a regular foster care facility? Are they in a therapeutic foster care facility? Are they a child that needs speech, occupational therapy, physical therapy? Do they need a new wheelchair? Do they need a new there's many things that determines what's spent. If it were just me, I have no other issues. It would just probably be my housing, my academic, and my clothing. But if it is a child with more conditions and more needs, then that amount goes up or down. And it depends on how much the facility charges per day, per diem for the child.
Thank you, Rebecca, for explaining that not only to us, but for the public.
Now, let me see if I understand. Basically, what you're saying is wherever the child is located, DSS will pay it to that locality and deduct it from the monies that would have been due to us.
Well,
And our monies equal the budget out.
In a sense, yes. Mhm. And sometimes, it's when you say, thank you, God, that we're as blessed as what we've got, because sometimes when you hear these children's situations, it really upsets you. And the CPMT only can pay what the local DSS has allocated and told us we've got to spend and we've got to do. And that's where the amount of this money comes from.
And what you gotta remember, just to add on one more thing, we're giving up 190, but when we put up that money in match, it's what I call match funds.
Yeah.
State is putting in, $2.3 million.
The state, we're only 15% of the cost.
Yeah.
The state and Fed is 85% of the cost.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Oh, we already had a motion and a second.
I'll call a
And
vote.
since we're in discussion, I would like to, if any of the general public, through Mountain Movers, we worked on this to try to get the numbers down drastically by visiting churches and talking to people to break the cycle. But if you want to start an initiative, is want to get a program together to try to help find more good homes for these children locally, that would definitely help us all. That would help these kids to keep them here so they don't have to leave the area. So if the good Lord lays that on your heart, let us know and we'll work with you in any way we can to help drive these numbers down. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, Chairman. Next on the Russell County request is Russell County EMS, the non-transport first response licensing resolution. I'm going to, of course, this is the drug boxes that we have talked about in the past, and I'll let Jared come up and give you a little brief update on these, how we're proceeding with this.
So, where we're at with this is back in November, I think it was October, I came and spoke to you all before about this and what the estimated costs we were looking at and everything. After that, early November, before the November deadline, they pushed this out to the end of April of this year. The way things have been going, if they push it out past April tomorrow, I'm not gonna be shocked. But I've had numerous meetings with state officials, with Board of Pharmacy state officials, and what they originally told me that we could do, they have decided that we can't do it that way. They're not going to issue the county as it is a controlled substance registration. So therefore, we can't currently manage this project. The way to be able to do that is to be an EMS agency. If we're an EMS agency, then we can have our own CSR, then we can do this as we talked about. The whole sole purpose in this is solely just to progress this drug box initiative. I came to you guys and told you that I was gonna do this, and they make more hoops to jump through. I'll figure out a way to jump through them. I don't know, haven't thought about it, haven't had conversations with a lot of people. I have no idea if or how this would affect doing any kind of assistance with our 911 system. But as always, I'll do anything I can to help anybody in the county. But the sole purpose behind this is just to be able to make us an EMS agency so we can obtain a CSR, so we can do what we said we were going to do and be able to help all the squads in the county.
And what y'all gotta remember, this is a resolution for non-transport, so we're essentially doing the licensing. Now, what this helps to do, and then as far as drugs and other, as far as the Department of Health and the rest and DEA, it's continuity control of drugs. That way it's going even to a licensing, because all the agencies are going to have their own licensing That's way, I mean, for be able to have continuity, that's my thinking. Now, that's my thinking, cause when you give those drug boxes over to the rescue squads, they're going to have control. They're responsible, they're accountable. Either they use them or they destroy them or they turn them back in. That's DEA, that's the federal law, so they have no choice. If our emergency management has it, they have to have a license for continuity too. So from the pharmacy to us to them, if that's the way the conduit's gonna work, that's the only way it can work. We will be, and that's why it's in this resolution as a non-transport first response license. So that's the way we're proceeding right now with, and that will be the Russell County Emergency Management. That'll be Jess and Jared. They will carry that title and that licensing. That way we can have continuity on control of the drugs.
Yeah, I guess one thing, give a little better explanation on the resolution. Part of being able to become an EMS agency requires this resolution. That's Virginia code. It's, if anybody's really bored, it's 15.2-955. But we have to have this resolution to be able to apply for a license. The first response ALS, which is advanced life support, that gives us the ability to stock any medications that any agency in the county is going to use. So, like I said, this is just another hoop we're trying to jump through to get to what we said we were going to do. The budget I came to you guys with at a little over 50,000. There's going to be some cost savings in there since I came to this, and like I told you, Mr. Kaiser, that was kind of a maximum number. I even think doing this and what little bit of equipment we're going to have to buy and things we're going to do, I think we'll still be inside that number.
Very good. I need a motion for the approval of the
moved.
non-transport.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion? No discussion. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you.
Next on the county minister request is for Shiloh Brooks. This is Russell County Tourism to the BRCCC project. I just need approval on it for February 26th through 28th. No cost to the county. It is being paid for by the Virginia Tourism.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and double seconds. So, Andrew, thank you all. All in favor? Any opposed?
Next on the county administrator and last is the Russell County Coal Road Improvement Advisory Committee. This is the VDOT projects on the Route 71, 615, 667, 648, 634, and 611 that the Coal Road Advisory Committee, this is the one that works with the coal severance tax. As I need a motion for those routes plus in addition, Andrew, do you want to go ahead and, since you made the motion at the coal severance, then we make the motion here, so VDOT, upon contingency approval of the coal tax committee.
I'll make that motion, sir.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion? Has everybody had an opportunity to look over all the information? One thing I'd like to say is thank you, Andrew. I know the citizens of this county will appreciate the coal road money going to repair a lot of these roads, so we definitely appreciate that. All in favor? Any opposed?
One thing, Mr. Chair, if I can.
Yes, go ahead.
There's a lot of folks and I talk to, and my dad used to work for VDOT, so they think they can get to me through my dad, and that's okay. But we're just getting started. We've got a little bit of money left. Lonzo might not like us spending it all, but I think if that money is the severance tax is appropriated for the roads, and that's the only use we can use for it, it's doing no good in a bank account. Let's get people a road that they can drive on to get home. And so if your road isn't on this list, hopefully we'll get it there. Just stay after me. And thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We appreciate your hard work on that. I know you got a pretty large committee though, so you had to do some convincing, I guess, to get them spend it, but you did a good job, Andrew. And now we're down to board discussion and reminders. Andrew?
Only thing I have is,
Closed session, executive session. Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
only thing that I have is, we've had this cold weather. Check on your neighbors, older folks especially, water freezing. We got some weather coming up that we have every year, but, every year you need to be checking on your neighbors, and we all need to be doing that, myself included. So that's all I have, Mr. Chair, and everybody stay warm this next week.
Thank you, Andrew. Ms. Wallace?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Also, I want to make a comment to Mr. Burke's comment, so I can do that now at board discussion. And as a chair of the Virginia State Water Control Board, in our agenda, we have public comment at the end. And so we do our complete board work and we come to the end and we have public comment, which is basically how we work here. We don't talk about it, we don't talk with each other, but the comments come in after the board meets. So I do know that that can happen, and his suggestion, you can do that. This should be a decision, and I would strongly suggest that we look at this because the comments are going to come one way or the other. We're going to be here all night long, or one or two comments, and that's fine. But at the end of the board meeting, when everyone's had a chance to hear everything, I think that's quite a reasonable request, and we do that at the state level. So just letting you know.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Ms. Dye?
I want to thank you guys who came out and braved the cold weather, and thank you very much to our sheriff for coming out. We really appreciate you. And like Andrew said, do check on your neighbors. We're having some really bad weather coming up, and you just want to make sure that everybody's okay. Make sure you and your family are prepared as well. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Mr. Brady?
I'll just give it everything that they've already said. The main thing is to be safe on the highway. I mean, be careful when you're going home tonight, because I know those temperatures have dropped, and it's probably it was slick coming in, so it's probably going to be even slicker going back out. So I don't want to have to call Bill to come get me. But take care of yourself, and we'll see you back again next month.
Ms. Dye?
No, nothing tonight.
Okay, Nate?
I think I'm good, thank you.
All right, I just have a couple of things. One of, I want to present these to the boards before we go into executive session. I've talked to Lonzo about starting a new program called the Heart Project. We are the heart of Southwest Virginia, and I want the board's definite approval on this to get this started. But, our existing industries, from small, medium, and large industries, a lot of times don't get a lot of the accolades they need to get. And with the Heart Project, I've asked Lonzo to instruct Shiloh to apply for some grant funding to have these hearts made out of metal that we can present at local businesses. And we'll highlight that business. We'll actually highlight the existing industries and the existing businesses that are here in the county, small, medium, large. It'll be a variety, and it could be multiple at one time. We could take a small, a medium, and a large, and have these hearts set up at their location businesses, and try to give them some accolades. Listen, we have a lot of industries that have stuck with us through thick and thin, through COVID, through a lot of the problems and issues that we've had, and we've had to go through this, but thank God we've been able to keep and actually add, and this board's done a fantastic job. I'll be honest with you, but we don't get a lot of times credit that we deserve, but there's been a lot of work behind the scenes to make sure that we get the adequate jobs that pay a good wage in our county. So I do want to give kudos out to our board members that work hard in their districts to do this. The second thing, this is very critical. I've reached out to a lot of the counties their chair and county administrators, and have asked them would they support a regional effort to file an injunction against the SEC and AEP over these terrible rate increases. I've instructed Lonzo, the county administrator, to set up a meeting with all the stockholders, which when I've talked to them, they said they don't know why somebody hadn't thought of this before, that we're going to have to do something. And I think, and I'll get with our attorney, Will, and see what our legal options might be or what. And I know they're a big animal. I understand that. But we have a lot of people right now suffering really bad. I mean, they're having to pick between medicine, groceries, and these power bills. And when I talk to people that live either on the Dominion side or on the BBU side of power utility costs, those are half of what we're paying. And it's absolutely ridiculous. And I am willing to take an aggressive stand against this and get with the other counties, because I think if we can get 5 or 6 counties all go in together and file this injunction against the SEC and AEP over this terrible situation they put our citizens in, I think it would be beneficial. I just want to make sure that I have my board's support to go ahead and move forward on this and to have these meetings. And I will contact each of you all individually and let you know and communicate with you on a probably daily or every other day basis to let you know how things are moving in the county. And I do appreciate this opportunity. I never have one asked to be chair, but I really appreciate you all asking me. And I love Tara to death. It wasn't nothing against Tara. Me and Steve's been working together closely on a couple of big ticket items that actually would have a huge impact on Tara's district. And we're together about every day. About every day on this. So I want to make sure that we get this across the threshold, because it's going to really be a blessing to Russell County if this happens. But I don't have anything any further. Anything on anybody else's heart?
Mr. Chair, I would ask for a motion to enter executive session pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2, 3711, Sections 5 and 7.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're now going into executive session.
Mr. Chair, for the members of the public who are here, there's not going to be any action taken by the board following our exit of this session. So, if you want to stick around, that's your right to do so. But there will not be any other activity of the board coming out of this executive session. So, hope you can get home safe.
Okay, before we go into executive session, are we going back there, Alonzo?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. I want to make a recommendation that we put public comment on the back end, like Lou made the recommendation. So if we'll do that when you do the agenda on the next meeting, we'll put the public comment on in the front, the middle, and the back. Thank you all. Okay, we back on?
Numbers just don't work.
Okay, Lonzo, you ready?
So you need a motion to come out of executive session first.
That's correct.
I make a motion, we come out of executive session.
And then we will need to certify that no matters beyond what was moved to discuss during the closed session was discussed, and that is an affirmative roll call vote.
What Will said.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Again, that is a roll call vote that each member has to affirm that only what was discussed during closed session. Only what we entered closed session for was discussed.
Hang on a second.
Okay, Lonzo, I'll let you do that.
Yeah. Yeah, hang on.
You gotta read it.
Hang on just a second. Let me get this up. Goodness gracious. Yeah, what sections did you call it? 5 and 7?
It was 3711 sections 5 and 7.
5 and 7, that's what I thought. Okay. This is certification of closed session pursuant to subsection 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia, 1950. As amended, each member of the Board of Supervisors upon roll call certifies that to the best of their knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and only such public business matters that were identified in the motions by which the closed meeting was convened, were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting by the Board of Supervisors. Any member of the Board of Supervisors who believes that there was a departure from the requirements shall state so prior to the vote, indicating that the substance of the departure that in his or her judgment has taken place. Are there any supervisors who believe a departure has taken place? Seeing none, being none, if you agree that the matters heard, discussed, or considered during the closed meeting were pursuant only to the motions by which the closed meeting was convened, please signify by saying yea or yes. Okay. Andrew Hensley.
Yes.
Lynn Wallace.
Yes.
Tara Dye.
Yes.
David Eaton.
Yes.
Steve Brady.
Yes.
Rebecca Dye.
Yes.
Nick Heiser.
Yes.
Okay. Sir, you have a permission to return to regular session.
Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
We need them to reconvene.
Reconvene.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, we need a
27th.
motion to reconvene in Richmond
On the 27th of January
At 4 o'clock.
at 4 o'clock.
in the lobby of
The Jefferson Hotel.
the
So
Jefferson.
moved, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
Second.
we got a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, we are officially adjourned. Thanks, everybody, for coming out.